Hello fellow nerds. Today I will continue reading from the Dungeons & Dragons Player's Handbook, and I have chosen to start with, I think, one of the most commonly used races apart from humans, the Half-Elf. Walking in two worlds, but truly belonging to neither, half-elves combine what some say are the best qualities of their elf and human parents. Human curiosity, inventiveness, and ambition, tempered by the refined senses, love of nature, and artistic tastes of the elves. Some half-elves live among humans, set apart by their emotional and physical differences, watching friends and loved ones age while time barely touches them. Others live with the elves, growing restless as they reach adulthood in the timeless elven realms, while their peers continue to live as children. Many half-elves, unable to fit into either society, choose lives of solitary wandering or join with other misfits and outcasts in the adventuring life. To humans, half-elves look like elves, and to elves, they look human. In height, they are on par with both parents, though they are neither as slender as elves nor as broad as humans. They range from under 5 feet to about 6 feet tall, from 100 to 180 pounds, with men only slightly taller and heavier than women. Half-elf men do have facial hair and sometimes grow beards to mask their elven ancestry. Half-elven coloration and features lie somewhere between their human and elf parents, and thus show a variety even more pronounced than that found among either race. They tend to have the eyes of their elven parents. Half-elves have no lands of their own, though they are welcome in human cities and somewhat less welcome in elven forests. In large cities and regions where elves and humans interact often, half-elves are sometimes numerous enough to form small communities of their own. They enjoy the company of other half-elves, the only people who truly understand what it is to live between these two worlds. In most parts of the world, though, half-elves are uncommon enough that one might live for years without meeting another. Some half-elves prefer to avoid company altogether, wandering the wilds as trappers, foresters, hunters, or adventurers, and visiting civilization only rarely. Like elves, they are driven by the wanderlust that comes of their longevity. Others, in contrast, throw themselves into the thick of society, putting their charisma and social skills to the great use in diplomatic roles or as swindlers. Half-elves use either human or elven naming conventions, as if to emphasize that they don't really fit into either society. Half-elves raised among humans are often given elven names, and those raised among elves often take human names. Your half-elf character has some qualities in common with elves, and some that are unique to half-elves. Ability score increase. Your charisma score increases by 2, and 2 other ability scores of your choice increase by 1. Age. Half-elves mature at the same rate humans do and reach adulthood around the age of 20. They live much longer than humans, however, often exceeding 180 years. Alignment. Half-elves share the chaotic bent of their elven heritage. They value both personal freedom and creative expression, demonstrating neither love of leaders nor desire for followers. They chafe at rules, resent others' demands, and sometimes prove unreliable or at least unpredictable. Size. Half-elves are about the same size as humans, ranging from 5 to 6 feet tall. Your size is medium. Your base walking speed is 30 feet. Dark vision. Thanks to your elf blood, you have superior vision in dark and dim conditions. You can see in dim light within 60 feet of you as if it were bright light, and in darkness as if it were dim light. You can't discern color in darkness, only shades of grey. Fey ancestry. You have advantage on saving throws against being charmed, and magic can't put you to sleep. Well, that's not really an advantage, is it? At least not for insomniac elves. Skill versatility. You gain proficiency in 2 skills of your choice. Languages. You can speak, read, and write Common, Elvish, and 1 extra language of your choice. Moving on to the other half race in the player's handbook, the Half-orc. Whether united under the leadership of a mighty warlock or having fought to a standstill after years of conflict, orc and human tribes sometimes form alliances, joining forces into a larger horde to the terror of civilized lands nearby. When these alliances are sealed by marriages, half-orcs are born. Some half-orcs rise to become proud chiefs of orc tribes, their human blood giving them an edge over their full-blooded orc rivals. Some venture into the world to prove their worth among humans and other more civilized races. Many of these become adventurers, achieving greatness for their mighty deeds and notoriety for their barbaric customs and savage fury. This sounds mildly racist, to be honest. Half-orcs' grey pigmentation, sloping foreheads, jutting jaws, prominent teeth, and towering builds make their orcish heritage plain for all to see. Half-orcs stand between 6 and 7 feet tall and usually weigh between 180 and 250 pounds. Orcs regard battle scars as tokens of pride and ornamental scars as things of beauty. Other scars, though, mark an orc or half-orc as a former slave or a disgraced exile. Any half-orc who has lived among or near orcs has scars, whether they are marks of humiliation or of pride, recounting their past exploits and injuries. Such a half-orc living among humans might display these scars proudly or hide them in shame. The one-eyed god Grumsh created the orcs, and even those orcs who turn away from his worship can't fully escape his influence. The same is true of half-orcs, though their human blood moderates the impact of their orcish heritage. Some half-orcs hear the whispers of Grumsh in their dreams, calling them to unleash the rage that simmers within them. Others feel Grumsh's exultation when they join in melee combat, and either exult along with him or shiver with fear and loathing. Half-orcs are not evil by nature, but evil does lurk within them, whether they embrace it or rebel against it. Beyond the rage of grooms, half-orcs feel emotion powerfully. Rage doesn't just quicken their pulse, it makes their bodies burn, and insult stings like acid, and sadness saps their strength. But they laugh loudly and heartily, and simple bodily pleasures, feasting, drinking, wrestling, drumming, and wild dancing, fill their hearts with joy. They tend to be short-tempered and sometimes sullen, more inclined to action than contemplation, and to fighting than arguing. The most accomplished half-orcs are those with enough self-control to get by in civilized land. Half-orcs most often live among orcs. Of the other races, humans are most likely to accept half-orcs, and half-orcs almost always live in human lands when not living among orc tribes. Whether proving themselves among rough barbarian tribes or scrabbling to survive in the slums of larger cities, half-orcs get by on their physical might, their endurance, and the sheer determination they inherit from their human ancestry. Half-orcs usually have names appropriate to the culture in which they were raised. A half-orc who wants to fit in among humans might trade an orc name for a human name. Some half-orcs with human names decide to adopt a guttural orc name because they think it makes them more intimidating. Male orc names: Dench, Feng, Gel, Henk, Holg, Imsh, Keth, Krusk, Muren, Rond, Shump, Thok. Female orc names: Buggy, Emen, Engong, Kansif, Miev, Mega, Ovak, Onka, Shautha, Sutha, Volla, Volen, Yevelda. Your half-orc character has certain traits deriving from your orc ancestry. Your strength score increases by 2 and your constitution score increases by 1. Half-orcs mature a little faster than humans, reaching adulthood around the age of 14. They age noticeably faster and rarely live longer than 75 years. Half-orcs inherit a tendency towards chaos from their orc parents, and are not strongly inclined towards good. Half-orcs raised among orcs and willing to live out their lives among them are usually evil. Half-orcs are somewhat larger and bulkier than humans, and they range from 5 to well over 6 feet tall. Your size is medium. Your base walking speed is 30 feet. Thanks to your orc blood, you have superior vision in dark and dim conditions. You can see in dim light within 60 feet of you as if it were bright light, and in darkness as if it were dim light. You can't discern color in darkness, only shades of gray. You gain proficiency in the intimidation skill. Well, that's handy. Relentless endurance. When you are reduced to 0 hit points but not killed outright, you can drop to 1 hit point instead. You can use this feature again. Oh, you can't use this feature again until you finish a long rest. Savage attacks. When you score a critical hit with a melee weapon attack, you can roll one of the weapon's damage dice one additional time and add the extra damage of the critical hit. Languages. You can speak, read and write Common and Orc. Orc is a harsh, grating language with hard consonants. It has no script of its own, but is written in the Dwarvish script. And finally, moving on to my personal favorite, the Tiefling. To be greeted with stares and whispers, to suffer violence and insult on the street, to see mistrust and fear in every eye, this is the lot of the Tiefling. And to twist the knife, Tieflings know that this is because a pact struck generations ago, infused the essence of Asmodeus, overlord of the 9 hells, into their bloodline. Their appearance and their nature are not their fault, but the result of an ancient sin for which they and their children and their children's children will always be held accountable. Tieflings are derived from human bloodlines, and in the broadest possible sense they still look human. However, their infernal heritage has left a clear imprint on their appearance. Tieflings have large horns that take any of a variety of shapes. Some have curling horns like a ram, others have straight and tall horns like a gazelle's, and some spiral upwards like an antelope's horns. They have thick tails, 4 to 5 feet long, which lash or coil around their legs when they get upset or nervous. Their canine teeth are sharply pointed, and their eyes are solid colors, black, red, white, silver or gold, with no visible sclera or pupil. Their skin tones cover the full range of human coloration, but also include various shades of red. Their hair, cascading down from behind their horns, is usually dark, from black to brown to dark red, blue or purple. But let's be honest, we all color our tieflings way more than the player's handbook wants us to. I've recently seen art of an golden tiefling with white horns. Very, very pretty. Tieflings subsist in small minorities found mostly in human cities or towns, often in the roughest quarters of those places, where they grow up to be swindlers, thieves, or crime lords. Sometimes they live among other minority populations in enclaves where they are treated with more respect. Lacking a homeland, tieflings know that they have to make their own way in the world, and that they have to be strong to survive. They are not quick to trust anyone who claims to be a friend, but when a tiefling's companions demonstrate that they trust him or her, the tiefling learns to extend the same trust to them. And once a tiefling gives someone loyalty, the tiefling is a firm friend or ally for life. Tiefling names fall into three broad categories. Tieflings born into another culture typically have names reflective of that culture. Some have names derived from the infernal language passed down through generations that reflect their fiendish heritage. And some younger tieflings, striving to find a place in the world, adopt a name that signifies a virtue or other concept and then try to embody that concept. For some, the chosen name is a noble quest. For others, it's a grim destiny. Male infernal names: Akemos, Amnon, Parakas, Damakos, Ekemon, Iados, Chiron, Eleuthis, Melech, Mordai, Morthos, Pelaios, Skamos, Serai. Female infernal names: Acta, Anakis, Briseis, Criella, Damaya, Eia, Callista, Elerisa, Macaria, Nemea, Oriana, Philaia, Rieta. Virtue names: Art, Carrion, Chant, Creed, Despair, Excellence, Fear, Glory, Hope, Ideal, Music, Nowhere, Open, Poetry, Quest, Random, Reverence, Sorrow, Temerity, Torment, Weary. Tieflings share certain racial traits as a result of their infernal descent. Your intelligence score increases by 1 and your charisma score increases by 2. Tieflings mature at the same rate as humans, but live a few years longer. Tieflings might not have an inner tendency toward evil, but many of them end up there. Evil or not, an independent nature inclines many tieflings towards a chaotic alignment. They are about the same size and build as humans. Your size is medium. Your base walking speed is 30 feet. Thanks to your infernal heritage, you have superior vision in dark and dim conditions. You can see in dim light within 60 feet of you as if it were bright light, and in darkness as if it were dim light. You can't discern color in darkness, only shades of grey. Hellish resistance. You have resistance to fire damage. Infernal legacy. You know the thaumaturgy cantrip. Once you reach 3rd level, you can cast the Hellish Rebuke spell once per day as a 2nd level spell. Once you reach 5th level, you can also cast the Darkness spell once per day. Charisma is your spellcasting ability for these spells. You can speak, read, and write Common and Infernal. So much for today. I hope you find this informative and relaxing if you are going to sleep, I wish you pleasant dreams. And if you're just starting your day or continuing your day, I also hope this will be a pleasant experience. Until next time.